One of the most common questions we get when we're training leaders or working with leaders on coaching their employees is, what do you do when someone is resistant? They have a negative attitude. They don't accept feedback. And it's tough. And I always share with people, when you're going to start coaching or an initiative at your company, don't start with, and dare I say, your most problematic children. Start with the people that are most accepting of feedback and coaching. Give yourself some room and momentum to get your feet underneath you when it comes to becoming a great leadership coach. Number 2, this is the tough part. Reframe your relationship with these people to be opportunistic. I think about someone with a negative attitude. I always nickname them, yeah, but Bob. This person knows you're wrong before you get done with the first sentence. They interrupt you, yeah, but they already know you're wrong. And it's tough. So remember, when we're coaching people, there's a 2-step process. 1, to get them to look in the mirror. 2, to get them to take action on number 1. You cannot do number 2 until they truly say, you know what? Yeah, I know at times I can be a little difficult. Even if they crack the door open a little bit. So that's part of the challenge. So when we're coaching, 1, we have to reframe our relationship with it. We have to look at this opportunistically. Here's why. Most people who push back, the yeah but Bobs of the world, people don't walk towards those people. We walk away from those people. We give up on them. I think sometimes those are the people that if we invest in and we can turn them around and get them to take action and get them to look at things differently, then that becomes an advertisement of what coaching can do. And you'll have a lot of people asking you for coaching and certainly for feedback. So how do we coach people like this? Number 1, we have to realize that this is an opportunity. It's a mindset shift. Number 2, we have to realize that we're building first awareness, then action. What we tend to do is call people in and say, geez, Nancy, you have a negative attitude. You got to cut it out by next Tuesday. And we're already at the action stage. Nancy walks out of your office saying, he's nuts. I don't have a negative attitude. And you've accomplished nothing. So the first thing is to reframe your mindset. Number 2, to create a opportunistic mindset with that. And then really get yourself to reframe a relationship with this. Number 3, become non-emotional. Don't enter that conversation. Nancy, it's over at that point. They've already decided you're wrong. So remember, the goal of coaching is 1, awareness, 2, action. Number 4, get ready with questions. Questions build awareness. Questions start to hold up the mirror. They don't grab it out of your hand and say, let me look. What they tend to do is they want to knock it out of your hands, because what you're doing is you're having them look in the mirror. See, I have a contention. I have a theory that deep down people like this know they're like this. They don't want to hold up that mirror. They don't want to look in the mirror because they know what they're going to see. So we have to be thoughtful. So initial set of questions could be things like self-actualized questions. Nancy, what are you going to do to successfully engage with Tanya from the other department? Bob, what are you going to do to successfully look at this from a positive perspective? And what would your first 3 steps be? A self-actualized question is a what question plus a success imperative. Now, these are not magic formulas, and people are cured because you've learned these questions. They're still going to push back. So part of what you can do is insert what we call opposite insertion questions into what questions. So let's say you have someone who's very resistant. Insert the word openly. So Bob, what are you going to do from an open standpoint? What are you going to do to openly accept some of Mark's ideas from the other department? You insert the desired behavior. Now, again, not a magic formula. It's a set of tools that you can use when coaching people who are resistant, or they push back, or they're negating your feedback. Next set of questions you can ask are rating questions. A rating question could be, well, Mark, on a scale of 1 to 6, 6, you're positive, you're open, you're professional, you're thoughtful in your reception of everybody's feedback, no matter what they say. And 1, at times you can feel a little bit arduous or a little bit defensive. You want to make it comfortable for them to participate. Now, they never answer 1 or 6. They always go in the middle. Rarely does someone ever say 6 or 1, and I'll get to that in a second. If somebody says, well, I'm about a 3 or 4, you could say, oh, okay, and you might think they're a 1 or 2. That's okay. You're building momentum. You might say, well, okay, well, what do we need to do to move in a direction of a 6? You didn't agree or disagree. The second part of the rating question is important. What do we need to do to move in a direction of a 6? Okay? Now, if you have somebody who says a 6, your first reaction is going to be, are you kidding? Now you've entered the world of an argument. Take a deep breath and say, oh, that's interesting. Walk me through why. That's awesome. Embrace the answer. Get them to validate it, not to put them on the defensive. Get them talking about it. And often you'll hear language like, well, for the most part, I'm pretty positive. Well, it's interesting. You said 6, which is all the time, but you just said for the most part. Wouldn't you say maybe you're lower than 6? They might say, well, yeah, at times. Oh, okay. You're just having a conversation. Now, you never start out with what I'm about to teach. Never, ever, ever. You're going to use something called a rule of engagement. You're talking to Yeah, But Bob. You've had a series of conversations, and I typically say 4 to 6 conversations at minimum. And you have somebody who's just not listening. They push back. They're resistant. Here's the thing I would encourage you to do. Say, you know what, Bob? We're going to have a conversation today. And I'm going to ask you some questions. And these questions are going to position you. They're going to position you to really look in the mirror. And I want you to get that into your mindset as best you can. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something, Bob, that's really unusual. I'm going to ask you questions. And I've given this conversation a lot of time, and I want you to have the same amount of time. I actually don't, 1, want you to interrupt me. 2, I don't want your answer today. I want to give you some really thoughtful time to assimilate it and digest it. Again, you're not trying to put him on the hot seat, but you're about to use time as a coaching ally. So you give the feedback and you say, Mark, I think we have an opportunity to turn things around, yet we need to turn things around, Mark, very, very quickly. And I want to know when we get together, and let's get together Thursday in the afternoon, what you're going to do, what steps written out that you're going to take to positively turn things around. No buts, no conditions, what you're going to personally do. Now, I've given you some feedback. Whether you agree or disagree, I want you to be proactive and positive in your responses, in writing, of what you're going to do to successfully turn things around based on what I've shared with you today. It's easy to be negative. It's easy to push back. I'm asking you to look in the mirror, to hold up that mirror and say, what do I need to do to alter that perception? Let's get back together Thursday. I want you to really take a deep breath. I know I put you on the hot seat. I know I put you on your heels. Yet I want you to come back and really proactively, positively do this. Your answer will be critical. And I'll end there. Now, depending on the situation, put your own spin on it. Here's the amazing thing. After you've made a lot of thoughtful efforts, it is a great way to get people to take action, because time does a wonderful thing. It gets them thinking. You've also tied it with a self-actualized activity. I want you to come back with 2 or 3 positive things you're going to do going forward. Written out, mind you. Sometimes I have them write it, sometimes I don't. So when we're coaching people who push back, they're well-skilled. We have to be well-skilled as coaches to have conversations from a variety of angles. It's not a fix. Coaching is about providing someone a perspective. Once they say, yeah, I thought about it. I know sometimes I can be a little bit arduous. Wow, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I battle it sometimes too. What if we did, and then you start offering some solutions or some steps of working together? So again, you're going to always have people push back. Think about it. How many of us have been well-trained or educated, coached, or mentored on the value of feedback even when we're in disagreement? Most of us come up with reasons why to negate feedback, not accept it. I hope this is helpful.